Hello and welcome to this video on contribution. So in this video we're going to look at the concept of contribution, a quick recap, and then look at how we can use this concept to make decisions about special orders and whether we should discontinue products. So let's start with a quick reminder. What is contribution? What does it mean? Well, contribution per unit is the difference between the selling price and the direct or the variable cost per unit. So for example, if I was thinking of the contribution of a pen, if I sold the pen for 88 pence, the variable costs were 47 pence, then the contribution per pen would be 41 pence. And that contribution goes against my fixed costs. So once again, I've covered contributions to cover my fixed costs, I can start to make a profit. The total contribution is based on all the units we've sold. So it's the total revenue minus the cost of sales, or sometimes total revenue minus the total variable costs. So we can use contribution to help us make a decision about whether to accept a special order. And a special order is a one-off sale. So a customer comes to you asking for a particular product or a particular quantity at a particular price, and it's not your regular business. So let's have a look at an example with these beautiful luxury powerboats sold by a company called Hitchfire Boats Limited. Now for this business, the fixed costs are 500,000. Variable cost 18,000 per boat, and I sell them normally for 23,000. Last year I sold 120 boats, so what would be my profit? Well, I get 5,000 contribution per boat times 120, that's 600,000 minus the fixed costs, gives me a profit of 100,000. Now let's suppose a customer comes to me and asks for a special order. They ask, can they buy 10 boats at a price of 19,000, which is lower than my regular price. Should I accept this order? Well, I can use the concept of contribution to make this decision, because each boat will contribute 1,000, and that's because the 19,000 price and the variable costs I need to build a boat are 18,000. I won't incur any more fixed costs by increasing my output. By definition, fixed costs don't change when you produce one more unit. So each boat here will contribute me 1,000 towards my fixed costs. If I'm already making a profit, then each extra boat that I sell here will increase my profits. So my profits will rise by 10,000. So I may wish to consider this special order, but would I be happy selling all my boats at 19,000? If I sold all my boats at 19,000, I would actually have made a loss last year of $360,000. So the moral of this story is I will accept special orders with a positive contribution per unit because my regular orders have covered my fixed costs, but I need to consider the impact accepting the special order might have. So other factors to consider. Firstly, do I have the capacity to fulfill these extra 10 boats? Secondly, what is the likely customer response in the future? If they know that I've offered one customer a discounted price at 19,000, maybe other customers in the future might want to get in on that price, and then I'm going to find it harder to charge my regular price. So I have to think about whether this might lead to future orders. Perhaps this is a good thing to accept this special offer with this one customer. They might lead to orders in the future. I have to think of my current level of utilization. So how busy is my factory? And will this help improve my capacity utilization and lower my unit cost possibly? Also, I need to maybe consider retaining customer loyalty. This may be a good approach, offering special offers, special orders. Accepting special orders might be a good way to maintain customer loyalty. I can also use the contribution method or the contribution concept to help decide whether to continue with a product or not. And this relates to how I account for my different products. Now there's one approach called full costing, and that's when we spread all of the costs that we incur, the fixed and variable, across all our different products. And if we spread all our different costs across our different products, we can see which one's generating a profit and which ones perhaps we should discontinue. So let's have a look at my business now. Here I have a revenue, 900,000, direct costs or variable costs, cost of sales 300,000, giving me a gross profit of 600,000. My overheads or fixed costs are 500,000, so I'm making a net profit of 100,000 across my three products. So using the full costing approach, what I want to do is see if what these products are, how profitable these products are individually. So I spread out the revenue. That's quite easy. I just look at how many of those different types of products I've sold. Again, I look at the variable cost, the raw materials involved in making those products. Again, that's quite easy to look at. And that gives me a gross profit figure. I then split out the overheads between my different product lines based on my assessment of how much of the overheads each of these products takes up. And based on that, I can look at how much profit is coming from each product. Now, what might I conclude here about product C is that actually product C at a net profit level is making me a loss. So I might reach the conclusion that I should discontinue product C, stop product C. Now the impact of that is going to have an impact on my revenue, my direct costs. My overheads aren't going to change because they don't change with how many units I produce. So let's have a look at the impact of discontinuing product C. So assuming my overheads didn't decrease, actually if I got rid of product C, I would have revenue 700,000, direct costs 200,000, gross profit 500,000, overheads 500,000. Actually now I'm not making a profit at all. So actually this wasn't a particularly good decision to discontinue product C. And we'll look at the reason why when we consider contribution. So businesses will often use what's known as a contribution approach to allocating costs between products to decide whether to continue with them or not. So what I do is I just go down to the contribution, the gross profit level, and I look at the three products. Now what I can see is that product C is actually generating 100,000 euros at this level, which goes towards covering the overheads. So even if product C might be making a loss overall based on the allocation, actually I'd be making an even greater loss if product C wasn't being produced, because product C is actually contributing 100,000 towards the other overheads. So often businesses will use contribution, look at the contribution from a product to decide whether to continue with it or not. So in this video we've looked at the concept of contribution and looked at how we can use this concept as a decision-making tool. We can decide whether to accept special orders or not, and we can also decide whether to discontinue with certain products or not. That's it. Thank you very much for listening.